How many Griswold's hairs do I have on me?
A lot. I've already taken some off my little windscreen here. What? Oh, he discovered the cutlery.
All right, let's get into it. Yes, I brought some new forks.
Oh, forking amazing.
I know. Thank you. All right, so
Hi, Rachel.
hello, Krystyn.
Good morning. Is it afternoon? It's almost afternoon. Afternoon.
Still a great day to record a podcast.
I don't know. It was like sleet shitting a minute ago.
God.
I don't know.
It looked like big soapy balls were falling from the sky. Because it didn't look like...
Do you mean like testicles or like...
No,
like bouncy balls?
Just like a bouncy ball, like a ping pong. It looked like big soapy ping pongs falling from the sky. And I was like, what is happening behind you?
I just have a vision of testicles falling from the sky covered in soap.
My dad...
Wow. Right into your dad.
Well, because he sent me this god-awful... I don't even know what movie it's from, but it's Kate Winslet and... what's that guy's name? Hugh Jackman, where Hugh Jackman has a set of testicles as an Adam's apple. Anyways, it's worth sharing with you. And
this is like a for real thing?
It's like a for real funny thing that they had done for some movie.
Okay.
Which my father had forgotten that he had sent me this like at least 3 times. So I'm just like over it at this point. But it made me think of when you said testicles. I saw it this morning and was like, God damn it, Dad, stop sending me these. All right, so welcome
to
Mystic Mamas. Oh, dear. Anyways, on the way up here, I was listening to a podcast, as you do. One might think that because we have a podcast, that we don't listen to podcasts, but au contraire, mon frère. I find that I love listening to podcasts when you can listen to somebody who is an expert in whatever field that is, right? So we're experts in telling funny stories and being authentic. That's about, and we can dabble in some other things that we're good at or we have passions in, but we're certifiably not doctors on any level. And so there are people, though, that go on these podcasts and they're just brilliant. And you can learn so much just from taking a 40-minute drive up here.
Yesterday was, I could think it was officially at 11 something last night.
11:06.
Thank you. Was the turn for us here in Pennsylvania into spring.
I've always said that I don't think I would really thrive anywhere that didn't have some sort of transition from one season to another, right? There's something about the cold and the chilly and what that brings with it, that dormant,
right?
Get inside, cozy up,
right?
Like hibernate, right? Like just like the animals do.
Well, my grandparents actually retired to Hawaii and then went back to Baltimore for that reason. They missed the change in the seasons.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you don't know what you don't know until you know it either. So I think people always think, because speaking of Hawaii, I've had friends that have moved to Hawaii thinking this is going to be paradise. And it is for a period of time. And then you're like, what?
I 100% want to snowbird.
Yeah, the seasons for me are just symbolic. And now that you can couple that with a spiritual journey, makes it even cooler.
Right.
Because naturally in spring, it's the birth, the starting of new life, right? Like you look around in nature and you literally can see it happening everywhere.
Right.
And I love it so much.
I do too. I was raised in a Wiccan household, which we haven't really talked about.
But we can start right now.
Right. Wiccan mother, Catholic father. Super interesting.
Yeah.
And I've always been very in tune with the seasons because they are holidays, right? It's a big time of celebration for me. And sometimes I feel like I wish I would take more like actual personal time away to celebrate them because I do think they're so important to transitioning into what's coming, but also for honoring what we've just been through.
Mm.
Excuse me. It's basically at each solstice and equinox, you have different holidays. Different practitioners, like, depending on what your beliefs are, call them different things. And a lot of them have very similar names to some Christian holidays as well. And then,
Well, a lot of Christian holidays are rooted in pagan holidays.
correct.
Because that's who they were converting.
Exactly. And the turn of the witch's new year is actually Halloween. And that's when they like start the year anew. But really all they do is they line up with harvest, right? It's all about when you are sowing seeds into the earth, when you're having first harvest, second harvest, third harvest, things like that. That's essentially how they lined those holidays up, because
And
that's
honoring.
what you're honoring, right? Because that's what your life it was about back then, right?
Absolutely.
I do have a quote I want to read us, though.
Okay.
It's Thoreau. And I think it's a really good one for the seasons. Live in each season as it passes. Breathe the air, drink the drink, taste the fruit, and resign yourself to the influence of the earth. And I just find this quote to be so beautiful as a reminder to live in each season. And that can be how we change our habits when we're actually in the season of like summer versus winter. But also, are you living in a season of your life where you're not thriving?
Sure.
Or are you sitting in your head instead of actually living, being present, aligning yourself?
Right. Like on autopilot. And I think it's so interesting too, like even the term season, we associate it so much with like weather and the physical part of Mother Nature and what that looks like. But to what you just mentioned too, it's been used a lot in recent years where it's, oh, are you in the season of life? Are you getting married? Did you just graduate high school or college? Oh, are you having babies? Oh, are you getting a divorce? Oh, are your children leaving and you're doing empty nesting? Oh, did you just quit your job because you needed something fresh? Everyone's in a season of whatever that looks like for them too. So
I think it's a good word to use.
Absolutely.
Because it's reminding people that this doesn't last forever.
Right.
Just like our spring is going to fade into summer, things are going to get warmer. Your poor daffodils, not going to do so well tonight. But, you know, that's not going to last forever. And when we look at that in terms of our life, I think it brings hope.
Even if you're having a hard season, like I am very much not just wanting to always be like the glass is half full all the time and I have these rose-colored glasses on and life isn't difficult, because you could be very much walking through a hard season. And I have some very close people in my life that are walking through hard seasons, but we have also talked about finding hope and finding joy and identifying where those can still coexist with a hard season. So even if you're walking through something that's really difficult, rooting yourself back in gratitude can be a really great practice where you start your day and you're not focusing on what is not going well, but rather what you're grateful for. And it could be that you can find gratitude in just saying, I'm so grateful for this season that is really difficult because it's showing me what really matters or who really matters. And doing a lot of internal work and looking internally instead of externally for validation. So,
well, and it's those hard moments and those hard seasons where the next part of us is born, right? I purchased a book for a friend of mine. If you are going through a hard season, I highly recommend it. It's called Wintering. Do you hear Griswold squeaking?
I hear him whining.
Right, because...
Will he not blow through that curtain?
Nope. It's like it's a steel door to him.
Okay.
It's just our house is like very open, and we have a curtain up where our would be a bedroom door, and the dog will not walk through it.
But it's like a sheer curtain.
He can see us.
Yeah.
It doesn't even cover the
golden retrievers are really smart and then also really daft.
Oh, yeah. He's all the things.
Like you're so close.
Yeah, so close. So great. But I had a girlfriend who was weathering hard times. She had lost her mom and was really struggling with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had bought this book for her. I don't remember the name of the author. I want to say it's Catherine something, but I can look that up and we can link it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really good book. And I was excited to buy it for her because it was honoring this hard time,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I was reading through, I had not read the book myself. That same season, our family had decided to incorporate the Icelandic tradition of, oh man, I don't know the name. I'm not even going to say it.
You don't know the Icelandic tradition that's in Icelandic?
Right.
It does it have 1900
Consonants. Yes, it does. Right. It has 1900 continents.
Consonants and 3 vowels.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word. So we went to a local bookstore and we had decided that on Christmas Eve this year, we were going to follow this tradition where they eat chocolate and share chocolate and read books. And that's it, right? It's amazing. You do that on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So we went to a local bookstore and we each bought a book for each other to like open and unwrap. And Evie had bought Wintering for me. And I thought that it was really beautiful because even though my hard time might not be the same as somebody else's hard time,
Sure.
we still all have them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Whether you're going through grief or loss, or you're just
Struggling.
struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
You're just on the struggle bus. So I highly recommend that book.
Yeah, I think reading in general is such a good exercise, and I definitely have had many seasons, I would say decades, where reading was just not a thing for me. I'd read on my phone occasionally, or I'd read something on the computer, but I didn't physically hold a book and read it. And I really, at the fall of last year, when the spiritual awakening really happened, so many books came recommended because there's so much knowledge in books, right? And I'm a physical holder of a book. That's how I like to read. I don't think I could get down with the Kindle or reading on my phone kind of deal. And so I have been reading quite a few books, and the act of and just having that space and that time to do that has been really gifting.
I love to read, but I abandoned it for a long period of time, probably like a decade or more myself. And it was really when I was pregnant with Evie that I got back into it. And do you want to know what book it was that got me back into reading? 50 Shades of Grey.
Not gonna lie, I read it too.
For a long time, I would have a nonfiction, self-help kind of book in print that I was reading, and then a smutty book on my phone, and then an Audible book that also usually is nonfiction.
I can get down with Audible. I like Audible in the sense that, like, most of the time the authors are reading the book, and I really like biographies.
Right.
So I've done a few on Audible where they've read their own story, which I like. I enjoy that.
I think I struggle with fiction books on Audible because if I know the author, which typically you do, like your creature habit, like we read authors that we like. If the voice doesn't match up with what I am envisioning, I can't do it.
No.
I don't want any parts of it.
Yep.
So when there is an author that I really like, then I actually buy the book and read it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't have the space to have a ton of books.
Right.
So
I would say too, if you're listening to this and you're like, dang it, I should get back into reading. That is a good idea. A great place to start, is your local library. I'm a big supporter of support the arts, support your library, but also thrift stores. I can't tell you, especially like baby showers or just books in general for the kids. That's one thing that I'll always say when we go thrifting. I'm like, you can get a book. You can get a book. And I will buy books at the thrift store because so many people donate books.
Right.
It's bananas.
Well,
it's
because
crazy.
you can't sell them for much money.
No. And I mean, I would love to still live in a world where every town has a little bookstore and when it also sells handmade toys and baked goods. But like that, those are so few and far between that that's not an option for me. But if you have a local, like not a Barnes and Noble, but like a little tiny book nook deal, totally do that too and support those. I have a couple when my Nana was still alive. She lived right off Greenwich Avenue in Greenwich, Connecticut. And of course, Greenwich Avenue they have everything there. They have Baccarat and Tiffany's. And of course, they had a cute little bookstore. And she bought a couple books for mostly just Emmeline, because really by the time Graham came, she was already in a home. And those are great. And she would write in them. And they were some of the best books.
Right.
Yoo-hoo, Ladybug, where are you? Back to seasons. You know what else makes me always think of is a nice fire as we move into the winter season. Cozying up with a good book. Doesn't that sound lovely?
That sounds really great.
You know what also is not a good place to read a book, in my humble opinion?
Where?
The bath. I always see people doing it. I'm like, how the what?
I know. All the time. I'll see on Instagram people.
What happens if you drop the book in the
What? People have their MacBooks on these trays on their bath. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
No.
You just have expendable money for a MacBook that you're just going to put it in your tub with you?
No.
What the actual fuck is wrong with you?
No, I agree. I'm like,
Stop it, influencers with your laptops and your books in the bath.
Baths, I love a good bath.
Me too.
I love a good bath. I don't want to do much in the bath except maybe meditate, maybe listen to some music.
It's where I do some of my best smut reading on my phone. Not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, physical books and water usually don't go hand in hand, but I do see plenty of people that like get down with that. So maybe they have a bath set up. Plus, I get interrupted 19 times, so it's
100%. We have one
that's
bathroom.
That's the season of my life.
Yes.
The bath with the interruptions. I just want to relax. What do you want? Mom, 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 mom.
Mine is usually my husband coming to blow up the bathroom while I'm in the tub. And I'm like, come on, man. You can't, you can't rearrange your schedule.
It's very European to have the bathroom be split where the toilet is not actually in the main bath area. And I am here for it.
I'm 100% here for it.
So when we redo our bathroom, we are going to separate the toilet into its own little tiny space and then have a beautiful walk-in. We won't have enough room to have a soaking tub, but have a beautiful walk-in shower and, a double vanity, just like more room.
You're going to have a water closet.
Yes. Yeah.
We have a Pittsburgh potty in our basement.
We used to.
But it's full of spider webs. And I keep telling him he needs to just make it a space for himself because I can't with this whole.
For those of you who don't know what a Pittsburgh potty is, back in the day, we're talking probably 75 to 100 years ago, Pittsburgh was, the steel capital of the world, basically. And then the steel industry died in the 80s into the 90s, but men would come home from work and they would be disgusting, like absolute shells of a human, because it was so laborious and hard and just, anyways, makes my heart hurt that these men just did this for decades and decades. But they would come home and they would go in a side door in the side of the house down into the basement where they would like basically wash themselves off in the wash tub and then use the bathroom or the toilet in the basement before coming up into the main living area. And so if you own a older Pittsburgh home, 90% of them have a Pittsburgh potty in it. And it's just this weird anomaly. And that's why it exists. And it's
our house
so
has
fun.
A birthday this year, actually.
Yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our house is 100 years old this year.
No shit. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I would not consider this house. I mean, it has a Pittsburgh potty, but I don't think somebody probably, where it's located, worked in the steel mill.
I don't think
100% in Brighton Heights in our old house.
Right.
On Terman, they definitely did.
Yeah.
For sure. But maybe they just were like, every home here has one, so we're just going to put a potty. Maybe. I like that we call it a potty, too. It's just a toilet.
I know.
But anyway, so back to seasons. What's your favorite season?
We should do a poll on the old Instagram.
What's your favorite season and why?
What is your favorite season, Rach?
Oh, 100% fall. And even before I like really associated it to my birthday, I loved fall. I love coming out of summer into fall. Those are my favorite days where it's mid 70s.
It's my
like
favorite.
Low 70s, cool wind blowing, but really warm enough that you can be outside in a t-shirt. You can have a fire. Just starting to get back into the football and kids go back to school. And I'm all about fall leaves and the rainbow. Anything that looks like a fucking rainbow, I'm going to be like, yes, give me that. So yeah, fall is 100%.
Fall was always my favorite season, but I'm going to be honest. Marching band and Steeler season has ruined the fall for me. I still love the season.
You're in a season of a season.
Don't get me wrong. Initially, I really was struggling with it because fall was when I would like plan trips, and it was when Sarah and I lived together. She used to call it my frisky season because I would get real excited and frisky in the fall when the leaves would start to turn and you'd get that crisp air and having fires and all the things. And then it became a time for our family when we're like very disconnected because of schedules.
Yeah.
And Charlie is in the marching band world, and he also plays for the Steelers drumline.
Right.
So his schedule is pretty crazy in the fall.
Yeah. No,
So-
and yeah. But again, I think you're a season within a season. So just hold out that hope
I know.
that you're going to come back to falling in love with fall.
But now that we've been through it for a few years together, it's easier for me.
Sure.
In the beginning, I was like, man, this sucks because I wanted to do all these things.
Right.
And so now we've just shifted how we do things.
Yeah.
And our family is very involved in his marching band.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
being there and supporting. And
So speaking of, let's just touch on this a little bit because it's one of my favorite things to do. I can only do it a couple times. I haven't done it in a few years, but let's just touch on the energy that comes with Steelers football in the fall in Pittsburgh.
boy.
You didn't know we were coming here on this podcast, but we are here now. We'll probably need to that would be fun if we interviewed some Steelers.
It's true.
Not Kenny Pickett. See you later, bud.
Bye.
But we're going to get some fresh blood in the fall. So who knows what is happening? There's a lot of change happening over in the Steelers organization. And this is relatable to any fan of any team in any city. There is an electric energy that accompanies that. And it's really great. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are listening out here that are like, oh, the Steelers. But it's such a fun time in the city. And
It's such a ball.
And I would say, I'm going to go out on a limb. We are actually really nice fans.
I think so.
There are a few bad eggs. Okay. There are a few bad eggs. And even the Steelers fans will recognize that there are a few bad eggs out there. But for the most part, we love a good game of football. And our tailgates are fun. Everybody, I mean, you could show up to a tailgate and leave very full and very drunk and not bring anything.
I mean, I don't actually know the statistics on this, but I would venture a guess that a large demographic of the Steelers fans,
Steeler Nation.
yeah, are middle-aged women
Oh, for sure.
that like to pinch booties.
Yes. There was a minute where Jeffrey did have season tickets and we would go. It was so much fun. This was before we had children. And then there was another season where we had tickets again for a little bit. The women, wow. You want to talk about like getting decked out? I mean, I remember being in the bathroom and I came out of a stall and this woman was head to toe. Every single thing, every piece of clothing, every accessory had the Steelers emblem on it.
How do they find so many sequins?
I don't know. And I was like, wow. And it was the game that I took. It's the game that I took Danielle to. Danielle, who has no last name. And she was like, huh? What is it? And she just could not. Danielle's also the type of friend that will make best friends in the bathroom Do you guys have girlfriends like that where you're like, come on, stop talking, let's go, we have other things to do? Oh, you're that person?
I am that person.
I got to the point with her where I would just leave her in the bathroom. Okay, you guys exchange numbers or blood or whatever you need to do, and I'll be out. I'll be out waiting for you. I love to have a good conversation, but the bathroom just tends to not be like where I want it to happen. But she was just in awe of this woman. This woman had a cowboy hat on, so many sequins, earrings, necklaces, a purse. I mean, decked out. She was so hardcore.
Like so much to have to,
hardcore. She was so hardcore.
It just seems like a lot to have to carry around. The more, I don't know, the older I get, when I go somewhere, I want as little shit to hold as possible. Mm-hmm. Give me some comfortable shoes.
When we went to that party on Saturday, I was like, I totally built my outfit around my sneakers.
Your outfit was super cute.
Well,
I was struggling with my feet on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I just had booties on.
And you ran.
I did have a foot race with my husband to the strip district.
That might have been par for at the end of the night.
That's why his knee hurts. He's been complaining all week that his knee's been bothering him. Now it all makes sense.
Ding.
That's 100% what happened. Because right on the heels of that, we started this new morning routine. And part of it is like implementing Evie's occupational therapy exercises that she's given her. And then doing squats and all these other functional strength training things in the morning, followed by a cold plunge. We got an ice pod. And he has been saying it was the squats because his knee's been bothering him. Now it all makes sense. It was totally the fucking race. Mm-hmm. I smoked his ass too.
I know.
He's running down the street going, how are you so fast?
You're like, listen, I got tricks up my sleeve. You don't know.
You don't know. I don't even have an ACL in my right knee, and I still smoked his ass.
Oh, God. Last night.
Me and Hines Ward. Speaking of Steelers, that was what
love me some Hines. Is he coming?
My ortho said when they told me about my knee, and he came into the room with my results.
I love that he associated you to Hines Ward.
He did. He was like, "Well, you and Hines Ward, no ACL." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man."
Speaking of that particular Steelers team, which it will always be in my mind, the GOAT, that crew, Palomalu, the bus, Ike, Hines, Ben. The other day I was thrifting, as I do, and I found in perfect condition, size medium, so it'll fit me. It's a men's, a Jerome Bettis, the bus t-shirt. The bus stops here. And I was like, oh my God. I was so excited. It was like $4 or $2. I was like, yeah. Oh, anyways.
We have really squirreled off on this one.
I know. So let's get back to season. So your favorite season was fall, is now.
I'm going to say summer now.
Okay.
I'm going to say summer because our family joined a pool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys have a great pool.
And it's just really great. It's so great to just go when we have a minute.
Yeah.
To hang. There's a good group of people there. I think that has been a game changer for our family and enjoying the summer. Now, prior to that, like during COVID, we really spent a lot of time disc golfing because we love disc golfing. But the schedule does not really allow for us to get out all that often.
Mm. Yeah, and you guys also kayak.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that we can do that's outside and active, which is why I think summer has become my favorite. Because there's lots of room for activities. I would say as you're moving through the seasons in your life, try and connect with nature in any way that you can, whether that is grounding yourself by walking outside and putting your bare feet on the ground, or finding a body of water, to hugging a tree, standing in the breeze, laying on the ground, looking at the sky. Mm-hmm. Get out there and do some hippie shit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was going to say the other thing that I like to do, especially as seasons start to warm up, is listen to music out in nature. I can tell you that I had some, just personally speaking, transformative moments when I have submersed myself in nature. And if you can do it with yourself, by yourself, I would say that's probably a good place to start, because naturally, if you have the kids or you're going walking with somebody, you're talking, you're not really having the chance to listen and focus. And as they say, if you listen to the wind in the trees, if you listen to the birds and you listen to nature, they are communicating and talking to you all the time. And so out there, speaking of seasons, we're about to start gardening season. We should have a whole podcast on our gardens.
Yes. And soon, because
The magic of gardens.
Yes, magic of gardens coming soon.
Garden
I have my
magic.
first little sprigs of garlic escape.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of inadvertent, not garden necessarily, but I was down there titting about the one day, and
Did you just say titting about?
titting about. I feel like that's a UK term. And I never pulled my kale up. They're thriving, just loving life.
I mean, kale does great in the winter.
Yeah, loving life. I was like, oh, okay.
I forgot to harvest the rest of my broccolini too, and it was doing awesome. And then somebody got in there and ate it.
Oh, like a deer. Oh my God.
I don't think
speaking
it was
of
a deer. I think it was a
skunk.
whistle pig.
I'm sorry. What? Let's come back to this animal. Is this like a narwhal? What the fuck is a whistle pig?
Like a groundhog. Charlie calls it a whistle pig.
Oh my God. I really thought it was a new animal.
Yep,
I was
it's a whole new animal.
a whistle pig.
A whistle pig.
All right. Well, wherever you are, whether it's this physical earthly season as it transitions from winter into spring, or if you're in a funky season and you're transitioning into a fun season, or you're in a sad season and you're transitioning into a joy, whatever that speaks to you. Seasons are healthy. Seasons are natural. They are a cycle, just like the moon and the sun and the tides. Everything is secular. Everything comes full circle. So if you're feeling whatever you're feeling, hopefully you're feeling lots of things today, but hopefully you just trust in the universe, trust in yourself to come back around.
Right. Allow yourself to evolve. You're not meant to be the same.
Yeah. If you are on autopilot, turn that shit off.
Right. It's hard because that's conditioning.
Autopilot's comfortable, not gonna lie.
Well, and a lot of it is really born out of defense mechanism,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, you have to survive.
You have to survive. And so when I was working with the somatic coach, a lot of what we talked about too was taking away that conditioning and that programming and maybe saying to yourself, I honor that this thing helped me in a time of need, but I no longer need this anymore.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to get rid of it, right? You don't have to get rid of that particular tool because you might find it useful in 10 years.
Right.
But it doesn't need to be in the front seat, right?
Yep.
Put it in the trunk.
Stick that shit in the trunk.
Go enjoy this balmy spring weather if you're in Pittsburgh. I wish for you exactly what you want out of this upcoming season of your life.
Yeah. Over and out.
See you later, alligator.
Okay, bye now. Goodbye.